the amount of horrendous videos that just I share, just my everyday going through my IG and then sharing the shit to my Facebook. I mean, it's just truly, how does anyone support Israel? Or like it's starting to flip, it's not only is the Israel thing started, but people are starting to see it's not Israel, it's not Zionists, it's not free Palestine. It's end the cult that's behind all of it. That's the only way the rest of us will ever be safe and happy. I mean, it's just, I saw a video today where it was two women in Israel, a white woman and an Asian woman are walking around with their cell phones, and they're surrounded by a group of children. There's adults around too, and the children are throwing things at them and saying, go, and yelling, you whore, and all these horrible things. These are children, young children, some as young as like 4 or 5, maybe, I don't know. Well, they're them, so maybe like 7. It's not Zionists. Those aren't the Zionists, the Biden Zionists or the Tommy Robinson Zionists. That's not who's doing that. That is the cult. The cult of them. Those children are cult members, and they will grow up to further the cult. It is like the whole Zionist thing is just bullshit distraction, man. They put the boogeyman label on something and they run with it. If you think it's you're saying the right thing according to them. That's interesting. Already fucking with my feed, huh? Got it. Yep. Drop me down from 3 to 1. Can't let the numbers start to go. Would they forget to fucking censor this shit today and accidentally let it go too far? It's just appalling. It's really scary and disgusting just how much evidence there is backing up what I've been saying. It's weird because I've been saying this shit for a long time, 10 years at least. Yeah, well, I can't say that. I've been aware of the J Menace for at least 10 years. Of course, I was nervous about saying things and had been bullied into not saying anything for the first few years. But if you go look at our songs, I mean, I've been talking about this for a lot longer than I realized I've been talking about this. But now it's like before things, and you're anti-Semitism, that bullshit, which I'm very proud of my anti-Semitism. That's the thing is just another one of these tricks that they've done is getting people to deny anti-Semitism when anti-Semitism is anti-supremacy. Policy or predisposition favorable to Jays. That's what Semitism means. Policy or predisposition favorable to Jays. And if I'm, that's supremacy. And I oppose supremacy in all of its forms. Well, if I'm right, please fucking share, like the video, share the video, sub, do all that shit. Help. Yeah, I can't. If there's no censorship and there's none of that, there's no interference, then I can't understand why Ian Carroll is allowed to exist, but I'm not. I am, Ian Carroll's on Joe Rogan. Ian Carroll is out there, on everybody's feed. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Take 2 seconds to share it on Facebook. Share around. If you have to, share it under the heading, "This guy's crazy. Somebody come telling me he's crazy." Something. Whatever you have to keep people here, do it. Because this is just insane. It's insane what is happening right now. It's insane what we're living through. The people 100 years from now are going to be like, you guys, that generation saw what was happening. They broadcast it live every day on TV. They brag about it. The piece of shits, the J Israelis who own the media brag about what their cousins are doing and their friends are doing. How do we not realize, like, the hatred between black and white people, the hatred between gay and straight people, gays towards straight people, and then or straight towards gay people, and then the gays' response to it. But all of the division that they have with us, our Republicans and Democrats and all that bullshit, it's all to prevent us from looking at them. While you're distracted by what Biden and Trump supposedly disagree on, or Trump and Harris or whatever, look at what they agree on. And Trump was responsible for the Abraham Accords. Biden picked up his work, and then Trump picked it back up. Don't you dare fall for this idea that there's some sort of rift between Trump and Netanyahu right now. Don't be that fucking stupid. Don't be that dumb goyim that they need you to be. A few weeks ago, Trump is pulling out and pushing in Netanyahu's chair for him. Netanyahu comes to this country, is treated like a fucking king, and then, like a week or two later, it's everybody. We're supposed to believe that they're not in cahoots. Netanyahu was here while they were, crafting the plan. That's why he was here. So he could set it up. So they could work it out, in person. Okay, so you're going to pretend like we're mad at each other. You're going to go sign these fake truces with Yemen and these other Arab nations. And then Israel will attack us, attack a U.S. station, military base, whatever it may be, and then blame it on Yemen. Thank you, sir.
No problem, sir.
We'll blame it on Yemen. We'll blame it on the Houthis or whatever, which will then get Americans to start tying yellow ribbons around trees and, all kinds of bullshit like that. Tell her I said hi. This is fucking disgusting what's happening right now. This is disgusting. I just can't wrap my head around why everybody is so distracted by all of this shit. Why do you think it's not okay for you to call out this group of people, but you're more than willing to talk shit about Muslims or even your own Christians. You have no problems calling out the Christians that continuously rape children, but not the Jays, huh? Like the whole. Let's see. Let's look up Israel raping children.
Yeah, so he's really excited about that. For sure.
Bottom of darkness. Children raped in ritual ceremonies exposes the horror. This is from Israel Hayom. This is an Israeli page. Let's see if it'll let me read it. Multiple women recount organized.
Was that thing?
What?
Was that thing going off?
No. Yeah. Go away. I love you.
Love you, Dad.
I love you more, bud. Multiple women recount organized abuse, including ritual ceremonies conducted by people they knew, even close family members. After months of interviews with victims, their families, treatment professionals, and experts in Israel and abroad, a disturbing picture emerges with descriptions difficult to read. Will you go downstairs and grab a water, please? Bubba? Can you go downstairs and grab a water for me, please? Thank you, sir. I suffered painful sodomy. Truly felt like I was splitting in two. It's a terrible experience, but there's something about these things, perhaps in their strangeness, that's like maybe the hardest component is that if you tell people about these things, they think you're crazy. Can you believe that shit? I remember many types of severe sexual abuse, but there's something about these ritualistic abuses that makes them the bottom of darkness. In direct words, with a clear voice, Imana, I don't know, Ima, pseudonym, like all victims' names in this article, described the severe abuse she allegedly experienced in her childhood. Organized sexual abuse that included ceremonies with supposed religious significance. Horrifying ceremonies in which religious people, some from her own family, sacrificed her as an offering for spiritual transcendence or redemption. Imuna, I don't know, is not alone. More than 10 women between the ages of 20 and 45 with whom we spoke described a severe phenomenon raising serious concerns that in Israel, like many countries worldwide, organized sexual abuse of children is occurring right under everyone's noses. Blood libel. Well poisoning. This is what they've been known for the entire time. Perhaps the world knows that rape occurs, that incest exists, but this is the world. But this the world doesn't know, Imuna said. These acts have been kept secret for many years, perhaps because of their insanity. It was always very, very strange, as if there was an... What? 8:43, he says.
Thank you, baby.
If there was an internal logic, as if there was an internal logic, but it was so crazy. Very strange things happen there, normalized in a ritualistic and orderly manner. There's a specific time. There's when to say this verse and when to say that verse. There's an order, as if these things are supposed to be done this way. Each woman we interviewed during our investigation has a different life story. They come from different areas of the country, from the north to the south. Each is at a different place in their life. Some are students, others work and manage careers and family lives. And there are also young women barely surviving, clinging to life by their fingernails. I know this happens in Greek communities too. You know, I know someone very close to me who was ritually abused and doesn't talk about it. Right?
What?
Nothing. Don't worry about it. Nothing. These women did not know each other previously, grew up in different communities, and come from different sectors and religious streams. Yet the ritual abuse stories they describe are similar in ways that compel us to listen and not turn a blind eye. Some were harmed in early childhood education settings or in girls' schools, others in their families' homes, yeshivas, or synagogues. In this article, we present only a very small sample from many hours of interviews and information, and some descriptions in this article are difficult to read. The great fear expressed by everyone who spoke with us is that organized sexual abuse of children continues to this day. Blessed who release the bound. That's a quote. Victim, sacrifice, punishment, correction, transcendence, redemption. These are reoccurring concepts in the testimonies. The prayers, the mutterings, the ecstasy surrounding the victims, the extreme pain, humiliation, and torture, the crushing of personality and soul. Testimony after testimony after testimony of women who experienced organized childhood abuse that included group rape performed within ceremonial and ritual frameworks. We met these women over the past few months. We spoke with family members of some victims. Sorry, it keeps fucking up. With treatment professionals and with experts in Israel and abroad specializing in trauma and disassociation, a range of conditions from emotional detachment to complete disconnection from feelings, sensations, memories, and more. We collected information about organized ritual child abuse, a phenomenon recognized worldwide. The picture emerging from all gathered information. Isn't it strange? So I have three watchers and 3 likes, and that's it. That doesn't make the algorithm send it out to more people. Where are all the viewers? What is going on here? Why is my page being silenced yet again? I'm reading an Israeli newspaper. The picture emerging from all gathered information is disturbing and difficult. It requires, at minimum, a deep and meaningful investigation by law enforcement authorities. It is a religious national mission to expose this phenomenon and uncover the truth. A treatment professional in the religious community familiar with the details of the phenomenon told Israel Hayom, that's the name of the paper, or the site, whatever. Most women we interviewed come from religious Zionists or ultra-Orthodox communities, although Shish Habat received additional testimonies about similar cases in secular society. They're always trying to convince you that it's not the cult itself. It's like, oh, it's little sects. Oh, it's Zionism. Oh, it's the ultra-Orthodox. Oh, it's this fringe community. No. The fact is, the Jays themselves aren't coming out against this. They're the ones that can come out against this without the shutdown. Well, that's anti-Semitism. Well, that's anti-Semitism, which shuts down the conversation. It's like black people needing to talk about what's been done to black people and how embarrassing it is. Right? The Jays, if they really are the good people, need to come out in droves and do something about this. These aren't secrets. Therefore, it is important to emphasize that these findings don't target any specific sector, but rather direct a beam of light towards suspected crimes in the most severe of the most severe kind imaginable. Crimes committed in parallel, world transparent in a parallel world transparent to sight, though deeply dark and sinister. Several rabbis' names appeared repeatedly in some testimonies. Huh. Multiple complaints filed at different police stations around the country were all closed relatively quickly, even when suspicions arose previously about a network harming children in Jerusalem. Police investigators, at best, lack sufficient tools or knowledge to properly investigate. Oh, is that what it is? They just didn't have the right tools. In that case, extensively exposed in 2019 on the TV program The Source, suspicions arose around a pedophile network that harmed dozens of children in the Nahalt neighborhood. Investigators tended to dismiss it as an invention, exaggeration, or panic by parents and treatment professionals, and closed the case with almost no... Where the fuck did this just go? What the fuck? It keeps fucking up. It's trying everything it can to stop me from reading this. Why would this page make their own shit hard to read? You know? This is their shit. They should want people reading it. It just reset the page. I have to go back. Exaggeration or panic by parents and treatment professionals, and close the case with almost no relevant indictments. And anybody who supports this, I mean, if you're one of these idiot trolls and you're hearing what I'm saying and you're going to talk shit or you're going to try to interfere or whatever, you're outing yourself. I've known the whole time that I've incurred the wrath of the pedos. I realize that. Do the other watchers realize that? When you see these sick fucking people coming on here and not being like, what the fuck, this is horrible, blah, 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 and just telling me to stop talking, don't you get it? A man named Benjamin Satz was convicted and sentenced in 2013 to imprisonment for committing indecent acts and sodomy against girls and boys aged 5 to 8. Another suspect was acquitted due to reasonable doubt. In practice, dozens of children remained traumatized and required years of emotional therapy. No outsiders in the community. I remember a pentagram on the floor, usually in red. When the ceremony was in the forest, the pentagram was marked with a hoe and surrounded by lit candles in a circle. The rabbi would bless, blessed who releases the bound. Men around prayed with prayer shawls, sometimes dressed in black, while the rabbi wore a white robe. There were several men and boys around the ages of 16 and 17 who participated in ceremonies for spiritual transcendence. It's about making them do it so that they're guilty. And if you're guilty, well, you're not going to say anything. You're not going to expose it because you're going to get in trouble. So they get all of their people to do it at young ages. God, this is fucking crazy. There was one time they asked me to dig a hole and lie in it. Other times they injected me with something and said, now you'll feel better, after which my body went limp. They would repetitively read psalms, like a psalm of David, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. They told me, you are special, you are chosen, and they would insert, I remember, a palm branch, Hanukkah candles, a shofar. They would insert a palm branch, Hanukkah candles. I don't know what a shofar is. SHOFAR. If anybody knows, please. insert them into the children. How do you not care about this? You know what? My kids tell me that other kids in the school watch my videos and then talk shit. Your dad hates the Jays. Your dad hates the Jays. And it might be difficult, I would imagine, for them to have to deal with it, especially with the lack of understanding that kids generally have. Damn it. Oh, I broke my ketchup lid. But I know that, especially once my kids grow up, especially once they have their own children, you know, especially once life, you know, becomes more real for them, they're going to be able to look back and say, hey, my dad was on the right side. I'm proud of my father. I don't think your kids will be able to do that. They definitely won't be if you don't stand the fuck up and say something. Or at the very least, share the guy is saying something. Interesting how I've been live 26 minutes and I only allowed 2 viewers today. Gee, I wonder what it is. That's the problem with getting likes. Seems like every time my feed gets more and more likes, I get less and less viewers. Lemore, pseudonym, grew up in a religious, ultra-Orthodox home. Of course you're still here. You're the pedophile Jay. You're a pedophile piece of shit who probably gets off on hearing these things. You know? If you're who I think you are, you violated your own kids to the point where they took them away from you. You piece of shit. God damn it. It's so hard to read this. They just keep fucking with it. Limor grew up in an ultra-Orthodox home. Her father, she says, always acted violently toward her and her mother. There's a great video on, if you watch a YouTube channel called Soft White Underbelly. You know, the guy that made all the Whitakers videos, the guy that made the Whitakers famous. You know, the inbred family in West Virginia or whatever. He has a video of him interviewing. Oh, look, the pedophile retracted her comments. What a surprise. Or his comments. Mr. Krabs, you piece of shit. But there's an interview with the daughter of an ultra-Orthodox rabbi here in the United States. And she talks about the abuse, how abusive and awful her family was. And because she spoke out, she was obviously kicked out. Kicked out of the family. Can you imagine what it's like to be kicked out of your family? The people that are supposed to love you kick you out because you ask too many questions. And she's actually a really attractive woman. But she absolutely outs this. Like there should be investigation into this. That's what is just so shocking. It's not like this is a secret. You know, I'm not reading any of these stories and thinking, oh my gosh, I had no idea. It's just like everything that has to do with Israel. You know, the more videos I see, I'm not shocked by the videos I'm seeing. Oh my gosh. Who knew this was happening? No, it's not like that. The only thing is shocking is the visuals of it, and it's you know, it's appalling, it's horrendous, but it's not surprising. I'm not at all surprised. You know, this is what they do. This is what they've been accused of doing forever. The term blood libel refers to them kidnapping children, draining their blood, and using it for their rituals. And it goes back as far as history does. You know, this one group that to this day is still, accused of doing these things, has been accused of doing these specific things for centuries. That doesn't happen unless it's true. You know, and this is them telling on them. This is them like bragging, really. Just more bragging. Throughout the years, she required medical treatment at a hospital and was accompanied by a professional. Fucking hey, what the fuck? Oh my God, this shit just keeps fucking up. Wait, this isn't the same article. Look, we have people smiling and laughing because they think raping children is funny. Who is going to do that other than the people who do it? You think just random Americans find my feed and then they're like, "Oh, this is just silly. Let's just laugh at how silly all this is." You really think that's what's happening? This is this is what they fucking do. Trying to get back to what I was reading because it just keeps fucking up. It keeps making it difficult to read it. Treatment at a hospital was accompanied by a professional due to injuries caused by the violent abuse she experienced. After her testimony, her father was the one who brought her to these ceremonies. Being delivered by family members is characteristic of many testimonies we gathered. Limor says, sometimes the ceremony took place in a forest, other times in a secluded apartment. There were instances when she witnessed and heard other children being abused. Testimony regarding additional child victims repeats across multiple cases. In many testimonies we documented, women also participate in the ceremonies and abuse. Yeah, no shit. If you get a minute, can I see your phone? I just want to show one video real quick. If it lets me, of course. Organized rape of children is one of the most horrifying phenomenon I encountered, Dr. Annette Gour said. The psychotherapist specializing in treating women in trauma, head of the psychotherapy program for sexual trauma treatment at Bar Ilan University and the Tel Aviv Rape Crisis Center. I mean, look, if my dumb ass here in Michigan knows about this shit, then somebody who's grown up in Israel and the fucking community their entire life absolutely knows about this shit. It's a phenomenon probably much more widespread than we imagine. It exists in many places you wouldn't expect to find it. I'd expect to find it. Boaz, pseudonym, a senior treatment professional at the religious community, agrees the abusers are typically not outsiders in the community. One patient told me, understand, he's the one who blows the shofar for Rosh Hashanah. The shofar symbolizes a channel. The person considered most spiritually worthy blows the shofar because he's closest to God. Just disgusting. It's just disgusting to think that way. The person considered, and he's the one telling her she is evil. And he's helping her atone. She's helping with her atonement in this life. Do you understand the distortion? Crime without witnesses. Beyond the women who dared to meet and speak with Israel Hoyam, professionals possess information about additional victims who report sadistic ritual abuse during childhood. The content emerging from these accounts shows remarkable similarities. From all gathered information, it appears that, in most cases, the sexual abuse began in very early childhood at home, perpetuated by a father, grandfather, or other family member. In other cases, the abuse occurred in educational or therapeutic settings. This is insane. What I observed over the years, Dr. Gore said, is that whoever endures these things suffers catastrophic damage. That's also one of the challenges with exposure. The victims are so shattered that they're difficult to believe. The more cruel and sadistic the abusers are, and the younger the victims, the more horrifying the abuse. The smaller the chance the perpetrators will face justice because there's no one left to testify. The abusers so thoroughly destroy the victims' souls that it becomes a crime without witness, which of course serves a society that continues to abuse and maintain these rituals. Yeah. 5 likes, 6 viewers. Makes so much sense, doesn't it? That's how YouTube works. That's how the algorithm works. Right? If you have 90% like from the people watching, it doesn't promote you. Right? After all this time, do you understand how big my feed should be? How big my channel should be? I should be, this poster child for the AL. Especially because I was saying this long before it was okay to say it. Dr. Joanne Silberg, an international expert in treating dissociative disorder among children and adolescents, and former president of the International Society for Trauma and Disassociation, guided the treatment of 70 children who allegedly fell victim to organized abuse in Israel over 5 years. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. I mean, that's basically a child a month. And that's just the ones that come through. In chapter 14 of her book, The Child Survivor, she describes the severe symptoms the children suffered due to multiple forms of abuse: physical, sexual, emotional, and spiritual. Dr. Silberg notes several sources for the numerous testimonies about the cases of organized abuse in Jerusalem. In one case, reported in professional literature, a child abused in Israel and treated in the U.S. described how several men tortured him and recalled an incident where they submerged his head underwater. Descriptions of sadistic abuse appear consistently across all testimonies we collected. As in Imuna's story, there was a ceremony like a circumcision that I underwent. I was 10 or 11. It took place in the settlement's synagogue. They tied me up, similar to the binding of Isaac, and wounded my genitals. Oh my fucking God. My father is there. My mother is there. A rabbi from the settlement. I'm tied to a table, looking at the window and imagining how I could jump through it, how I might tie a rope and rappel down and rappel down to the stones. I constantly wanted it to not be happening. That's what characterizes it. I continuously thought about how it wasn't happening. How could I escape? I kept telling myself I wasn't there. It's extremely difficult to understand that I was actually there, that it's me, a bound child, the youngest and most vulnerable. Organized. Okay, hang on one second. Let me just see if I can find this real quick. If it'll let me show it, because a lot of times it doesn't let me show these for some fun new reason. If we look at World War II and the bombings of London, Dresden, Hamburg, Tokyo, Nagasaki, Hiroshima, Coventry, Rotterdam, and Berlin, even though these bombings were extremely devastating, the total tonnage of explosives dropped on Gaza since 2023 still exceeds these bombings combined. Over 100,000 tons of bombs. Gotta love that Woody Allen is allowed to exist for some fucking reason. What? What?
My phone.
I'm using it right now. Yeah. Here you go. It is going to let me say it.
Who was in charge of the CDC that was controlling and telling our government to shut down small businesses and what they recommend for the mandates and the vaccines and Pfizer and all? At the time when COVID was being enacted, I'm going to read off the staff of who was in charge of this CDC.
Ask Charles.
The director of the CDC was Rochelle Walensky, dual citizenship with Israel. She's a Jew. Deputy director of the CDC, Ann Shawalchi, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. CDC chief of staff, Sherry Berger, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. CDC chief medical officer, Mitchell Wolf, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. CDC director of the Washington office. This is pertinent to the topic. We're talking about COVID, right? Yeah. This is pertinent to COVID. So
it's interesting. It's interesting how the people keep saying, let this man talk, while the system, the people in charge keep trying to shut him down. For some reason, why are they shutting him down? Why don't they want him to say anything?
Yeah, please. So, director of the CDC of the Washington office, Jeff Resnick, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. COVID SAR, Jeb Zaitz, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. COVID senior advisor, Andy Slavitt, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. Assistant of Health Secretary for Human Services for our country.
This is out of order.
Assistant of Health Secretary, Levine, transgender, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew.
Hold off, Christopher.
Ma'am, I'm almost done. Mr. Wood, the chair has ruled that your comments are out of order. She's
out of order.
Stop. The chair has.
There's nothing wrong with you. It's not derogatory.
Exactly. Okay, keep on going. Head of Pfizer vaccines, Albert Bourla, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. Pfizer chief scientist, Michael Dostin, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. Moderna chief scientist, Paul Zacks, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. BlackRock, everyone know BlackRock? BlackRock CEO, Larry Fink, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. I said we're willing to sacrifice our ego, our reputation, and our lives. Yes, ma'am, and I love you, and I appreciate your patience. BlackRock president, Rob Capital, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. The CDC chief medical officer of Johnson & Johnson, Joanne Waldstreicher, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. Chief medical officer of Merck,
you are done.
Head advisor of the World Economic Forum, Yuval Harari, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. And that's what we're talking about.
Christopher, you need to stop.
Who's in control of the media or the bank? Go on. God bless. Thank you for your patience.
How do you deny that? How do you deny that shit? It's right there. Here you go. Here's another good one.
Well, a town in Texas has over $4 million of its own local.
If you guys have been here since prior to the election, you'll remember me pointing it out multiple times that our choices this year for president were the lead third party candidate was Jill Stein. Nothing to say. Kamala's husband and her potential vice president were Jays. And then Trump is the greatest friend Israel and the Israeli people have ever known, according to Netanyahu. Every option we had made Israel better for them. And to not understand what's being shown to you just says everything.
Tax dollars being sent to Israel when they audited their. Well, a town in Texas has over $4 million
$4
of
million.
its own local tax dollars being sent to Israel. When they audited their books and found this, the town of San Marcos decided to stop that aid. Now, Governor Abbott, Greg Abbott of Texas, says you actually can't do that. It's against the law. Now, Israel receives billions of dollars in
Billions.
federal aid from the United States government. This local government, for a small town of only 70,000 people, found that their
70,000
residents
people.
were sending $4 million a year. And they said, we actually don't want to do that. We want to send that to our local schools, our fire departments, maintain our roads. And the state is saying, you cannot do that. You must continue to send that money to Israel. Now, this is not quite a cut and dry story. It's outrageous that the governor is saying, no, you need to keep sending your local tax dollars to Israel. And he has his own crazy reasons. But the bill was also a little bit strange, too. This is, again, a town of 70,000 people sending over $4 million per year to Israel instead of the local priorities that they wanted. They drafted a resolution to stop that. And Governor Abbott said, you can't do that because it's anti-Semitism. So they are obligated to send their money abroad to Israel. Here is his tweet about it. And then also he wrote the letter.
Anti-Israel policies are anti-Texas policies, he said.
There is a law in Texas that no government entity may enter into a contract worth $100,000 or more unless it includes a written verification that the entity does not boycott Israel and will not boycott Israel during their term. So this is basically an anti-BDS law on the books. The town, though, the resolution itself is a little above its britches. It's a bit crazy because the resolution of the town calls for a ceasefire negotiation in Gaza. How can a small Texas town do that? And it calls for Israel to remove itself from Gaza. Okay. Again, that's a little insane how a small town in Texas can do this. But what they want to do is try to reallocate their own money. And the governor is saying, no, you can't have your own local priorities. Now, this is not, again, a part of the BDS movement, which calls for boycotts of Israel. Congress did try to pass a law making it illegal to boycott Israel. That never became a law. But in fact, 38 states have anti-BDS laws on their books. State laws. These have not held up in court.
7 viewers.
But they have not been struck down either. So each state has these laws. 13 additional states want to put them on the books, even though more than 70% of Americans
Michigan
do
has
not
it.
support anti-BDS laws, because we should be able to boycott whoever the hell we want to. That's our right. No government should tell us what we have to support and what.
You came here to argue.
Well, a town in Texas.
You came here to argue with me. I came here to ask you questions about your budget request.
You presided over the destruction of the health of the American people.
Fuck this guy. Fuck this guy. 6 out of 7. Right. It's an amazing percentage. Meaning the algorithm should recognize that apparently my audience likes what I'm saying and push it out there. That's how people get to be where they are. That's why everybody says, please like and share the video, because it's supposed to help. Fucking insane.
The Mossad killed Kennedy because they were so upset over what he did to Ben Gurion. There's a very surprising series of letters between Kennedy and David Ben Gurion, not only the Prime Minister of Israel, but the founder of Israel, in which they're very angry letters, in which Kennedy is saying to Ben Gurion, I'm killing myself trying to get a nuclear test ban treaty. I've even got de Gaulle on board, and that's impossible. And you keep testing in Dimona. You've got to stop. And Kennedy threatens him. And he threatens him in such a way that Ben Gurion resigned. And I will tell you, forget Lyndon Johnson, forget the CIA, forget Fidel Castro. The Mossad killed Kennedy because they were so upset over what he did to Ben Gurion.
Yeah, never mind that, right? Wasn't Trump supposed to open up all the Kennedy files and all that shit? And isn't that yet another thing he promised to do and didn't? Do you guys understand what's happening?
But now we're going to go back in time, and I'm going to ask you who you think did each of these huge events, okay? The killing of MLK Jr.
That was a CIA operation because they considered him a dangerous communist. But the FBI was bugging in churches where he was giving some of his speeches in churches. They were bugging the podiums and following him around. He was a top target for elimination.
JFK.
I think that was a CIA hit, and they may have employed some mafia connections to carry it out because that was their mafia assassination program.
Exactly. LBJ was very involved in all that in Dallas. And so
he was an evil man.
He was an evil man. Okay, what about Pearl Harbor?
They knew the attack was coming. They knew where it was going to happen in Pearl Harbor and when. And they told no one, and they let it happen on purpose. That's from the commander of the Pacific Fleet. I would say that's a pretty credible witness. So, yeah, that was a false flag.
They admitted that. They admitted they heard it was going to happen. And, how else were you going to get Americans to be on the side of this war? That had nothing
Now
to
I
do
have
with
less
us.
watchers than likes.
9/11. Your opinion?
My opinion, as a criminal investigator, as a former CI officer, 9/11 was not the act of a bunch of poorly flight-trained terrorists that executed an unbelievably piloting of those aircraft. Even pilots, there's pilots for 9/11 Truth now, and they say we could not have done that. Not possible. And then we go to the passport issue, and we go to the Tower 7, which was a controlled demolition.
Obviously.
You talk to any structural engineer, and I have. And
9/11, the towers were about
I think it was 40 pages of
distracting us from the Pentagon.
Saudi Arabia. So what? Wait a minute. This report was supposed to be for the American people on what happened, and you blacked all these pages out? What in the world? I do not think that it was a bunch of poorly trained or untrained terrorists that did it. I think there was another source behind it. I think it was intentional. And I'm going just from a criminal investigative perspective, just looking at the evidence, what evidence we have.
Strange how Candace Owens is
that
just
was an intentional
everywhere.
act. And it would fall right into the MO that you and I are talking about. Horrible event. Because human life does not matter to the shadow government deep state, or
Deep
especially the
state.
CIA. It does not matter. Their pawns on their chessboard. They don't care that 3,000 people were horribly killed that day.
3,000
But it
people
achieved
were
the aim of gutting the U.S. Constitution, bringing in the horrific Patriot Act, giving the CIA unthinkable authority for secret prisons and torture beyond waterboarding and secret renditions and all of that. The FBI, the ability to spy on Americans came out of the Patriot Act. So it was the perfect national security state energizer that the Patriot Act was, and 70 of the congressmen and senators that read the Patriot Act didn't even read it. They just signed off on it without even reading the bill. So, yeah. I mean, that's my...
Sorry, you didn't like that.
I know your language.
Oh, here you go. Here you go. This is one I was trying to show you the other day, but I couldn't. This is a guy who actually lets a piece of shit Jay come on his show and talk. Listen to what this guy says.
I know your language. It's okay. Because I'm Jewish, I like business.
Because I'm Jay.
I learn people language so I can fuck them in the ass.
There you go. There you have it.
So you can fuck them in the ass.
We like the money, not like you guys. You go. You know what is going?
Yeah, you did this. You did this.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, exactly.
What is this?
9/11?
9/11?
Yeah.
9/11? It's the best.
Yeah, you Jews own everything, huh?
Everything. We rule everything, brother. You need to understand. We eventually will rule the world. 10 years from now, it's not France. It's Francistan. It's not Netherlands. It's Netherlandistan.
Yeah.
Belgistan. Wait, brother.
You did that.
Of course, you deserve that. I swear I'm happy it happened to the Europeans.
Yeah.
The European is the most shit persons in the life I lived in Belgium. I know who is the Europeans. Europeans can suck my dick, brother. You're worth nothing. What is this? Every single aspect, mass. No, others. Aspect of mass is Jewish. Brother, I tell you, we run the fucking world. You don't understand what I'm telling you? We rule the world. Rothschild, people like this. You don't understand. It's behind the scenes even with all this Illuminati shit. Oh, you don't know what's going on. You guys will never understand because you're not Jewish. You're not allowed to know those things. But we know what's happening behind the world, brother.
I know.
Everything good, but you don't deserve to know it. You understand? Because you goy. I will rape children in front of a mother, and then I will shoot the child in the head and the mother also. And we bomb.
Did you do that?
I will rape children in front of the mother, he said, and then shoot the child in the head.
In the army too?
Yes, you see this? This is, I swear.
It fucking cut right there. So I guess part 13 is the one where he says, Yes, in the army, we take children and we hold them up and we cut their heads off and let their bodies fall. This is what they do. Like, I just don't know what else you need to see. Look at your boy Trump. Look at your buddy Trump. I wonder who his allegiances lie with. Do you see him doing this shit in Muslim countries? And this is it's endless. The amount of videos I can show you is endless. Yeah. It's endless.
Newsfeed with that nonsense.
It's not on your newsfeed.
As soon as you watch that shit, then it all starts popping up.
I don't understand what we, Goyim, why we're doing this. You're looking at a page where 100% of the watchers like the video, at least according to the numbers we're being shown. And yet I'm still only allowed 6 people. You think if I was fucking putting makeup on my face or I was a dumbass who had a toilet seat around his head like your buddy Todd Church, I'd only be allowed 6 people? It's just everywhere. Let's go back to the story where the Jays are telling on themselves. What the fuck? How Israel destroyed Assad's Syrian navy. I guess this is a different... I just don't understand what's going on here. They're doing everything they can to stop me from reading this article. Crime without witnesses, head underwater, the youngest and most vulnerable. Organized sexual abuse occurs as noted throughout the world. Researcher Michael Salter defines it as a conspiracy of several attackers to abuse several victims. Rabbi Dr. Udi Furman quotes in his article, Ritual Abuse in Israel, Salter's definition of ritual abuse as an ideological framing in organized context of child sexual abuse, functioning as strategic practices through which abusive groups instill in victims a misogynistic worldview violently to control them. In other words, ritual abuse occurs when a religious, political, or spiritual authority uses their position of power to manipulate victims' belief systems and thereby control them. Ritual abuse is primarily a strategy employed by groups involved in producing images of child abuse, child prostitution, and other forms of organized abuse, and does not constitute a separate category of violence. Rabbi Furman also presents research by Joanna Schroeder and additional researchers from Germany who examined attitudes among 165 adults who testified that they were victims of organized ritual abuse, as well as the attitudes of 174 professionals, god damn it, who supported victims from both groups, therapists and victims. Identical ideological expression emerged. The ideological context and objectives were also presented in a similar order: justification of violence, justification of sexual exploitation, and maintaining power and control, followed by maintaining group commitment and ensuring redemption. The researchers concluded that ideologies are primarily means to justify organized sexual violence. He said, however, in his article, Foreman argues that some reports in Israel suggest ideology wasn't merely a means to justify organized sexual violence, but formed the foundation of the abuse. Exactly. Exactly. Like, share, and sub, guys. We have to overcome the hurdles that they put in front of us. And supposedly, I mean, obviously it's not working, but the more you guys like and share this video, the more people will see it, supposedly. Rabbi Furman references, for example, the Nalat case, which is just one of many similar cases where most occurring in ultra-Orthodox neighborhoods. For instance, a private ultra-Orthodox court writes that ritual sexual abuse is cruel and frequent, accompanied by traumatic, accusatory, and confusing ceremonies. The abuse is carried out by large criminal organizations and or cults and or secret organizations with financial investment and recruitment of assisting personnel. The abuse carries for its perpetrators substantial profits such as satisfaction of deviant urges, commerce and pornography, threats and extortion, and more. According to Furman, the court document describes the practice of organized abuse from preparing the scene through recruiting collaborators from educational institutions and transportation drivers to the ceremonies themselves. The ceremony takes place under the leadership of an important rabbi. After a Torah lesson, approximately every 2 weeks, parents gather with children for what is called soul correction. All couples recite psalms together, sing verses repeatedly with melody, and all while standing without clothes. They stand in a circle naked, praying, lighting candles. The children are positioned in the middle of the circle, also naked. In the document, intended for parents, educators, and rabbis, the ultra-Orthodox court Shari Mishpat in Jerusalem, or Shari Mishpat, in Jerusalem details numerous methods and actions taken by abusers, aiming to warn and raise awareness of this spreading phenomenon and protect children. Among other things, the document states that to shield themselves from exposure, abusers deliberately act in extreme ways contrary to logic, so that even if children tell, they will sound completely delusional. What makes them sound delusional? That foundation of the argument that they sound delusional for expressing the same thing that's been expressed by thousands and thousands of fucking children. Again, this isn't like specific. This isn't like, oh, it's the Zionists. Oh, it's Free Palestine. This isn't like that. Look, I hate them. I proudly hate them. Do I think their children should be ritualistically fucking raped and tortured? No. God damn it. Why does it keep doing this? Seriously, I've never had such a hard time reading an article where, like, why would this site make it difficult for me to read their shit? Don't they want me to read their shit? Isn't that why they put it out? Yet they make it fucking difficult. Gotta go back and find it again. Completely delusional. In a partial list, actions are described including abusers using disguises and masks, alongside sadistic torture such as forcing children's hands into boiling water. Oh my God. Submerging them underwater for several seconds, or threatening them with aggressive animals to frighten them and intensify the trauma effect. Additional mentioned actions include inserting objects and work or kitchen tools into children. Inserting them, not in their arm or whatever, in their butts or in their fucking vaginas or penises. That's what they say. That's what they mean by the insertion. To humiliate children and instill feelings of guilt and shame, perpetuators show them pictures of themselves naked or give them food while telling them they ate carrion, organize mock wedding ceremonies between children, force them to eat feces, and stage their burials. Oh my God. They collapse all self-trust and ability to resist, Foreman said. The regular and frequent abuse is so destructive that the children despair of normality, and the abuse becomes their life routine. Psychiatrists have diagnosed a complete personality fracture in the normal part, allowing the children to continue functioning normally in school. According to Dr. Silberg, each group, individual participants may have their own motives, such as sexual deviations, bizarre ideological afflictions or affiliations that include conducting ceremonies or economic enrichment, for example, through human trafficking for. Fucking hey, this is so weird. Human trafficking for sexual exploitation or producing images of child sexual abuse. These motives are not necessarily shared by all members. Oh, well, that makes it okay. If you're part of a group and you know that group does those things, you're okay with it. You're just as guilty. Dr. Silberg further notes that networks engaged in producing and distributing child exploitation materials, not fucking pornography, include organized abuse, have been exposed worldwide, and despite the reoccurring, almost ideological skepticism, there have been several successful convictions of members of organized abuse networks worldwide. Yes, several, like 7. Over the years, there have been multiple examples of cases where authorities successfully exposed and convicted members of such networks. According to Dr. Silberg, as well as other researchers, since the development of the internet, exactly, and especially the emergence of peer-to-peer networks, exactly, social media is their downfall. We didn't know about these things. We had ideas, but we didn't know. We couldn't talk to the people. Now we can talk to the people. Now they can share their own stories. Because the J News isn't going to talk about it. Did you guys hear about this? Shouldn't this be a fucking huge story right now? Peer-to-peer networks in the dark web. The phenomenon of sexual assaults on children has intensified significantly. It hasn't. It's just now being more exposed. That's all it is. Before they could be exposed, they were doing it just as much. Like I argue with my wife all the time. I say things like, when we were kids, we did this, nothing happened, blah blah blah.
But I'll be there in a minute.
And she says, well, that was then. This is now. Times are different. And I keep trying to express, like, no. The only difference between now and then, it's actually better and safer now. There are phones. There are, prior to 1986, if you called the police and said, my child is missing, they would say, okay, wait 72 hours. And if the child doesn't come back, well, then we'll go looking for him. We have a show that exists now that's called The First 48, because it talks about how if you don't figure out what's going on in the first 48 hours, the chances of you figuring it out are like, 90% less. Yet for all of our country's time up until 1986, up until the Johnny Gosch story, shit. It was, fuck. Didn't realize I was that low. Up until Johnny Gosch, it was 72 hours. They would wait 72 hours before looking. Why didn't Lester Holt let me in on this news? Exactly. It's because Lester Holt is a complete piece of shit. Whoever saw that man with his giant fucking 75 head, with his you know,
Ready, Nate?
with his lisp and just this ugly man, and was like, yeah, let's put him on TV. He's one of the head anchors in the world. Why? Because he reads the reports. He doesn't fucking investigate shit. They are reporters. They are teleprompter readers. That's all they are. That's all they do. Where is the outrage? Where is the outrage? Yeah, Lester Holt is a yes man. Lester Holt, you don't get to be in that position by, you just happen into it. He was exposed to piece after piece over time, and they showed him, he didn't report. They showed him, he didn't report. They had him, they brought him in and had him do horrible things to children on camera. And of course he's not going to report that. It's how it works. These are the youngest and most vulnerable victims in society, it is claimed. Live streaming platforms from home allow children to be exploited in front of a camera, and the videos of the acts to be broadcast worldwide without leaving traces. Bullshit. Bullshit. If you go online and you start talking about you're going to unalive the president or whatever it may be, they know they're going to come to your door and they're going to come get you. If they wanted to, they could easily figure all this out. They could easily shut down the dark web. But it's them who benefits from it. That's why they don't. On the other side of the screen, cyber investigation specialists recognize the high demand among consumers for the most horrific videos, including sadistic abuse of children. I'm just not that guy. I've never seen one of those videos where the person gets their head cut off. Why? Because I don't want to have that in my head. I don't need to see that shit. I don't like the videos where people get hurt. America's Funniest Home Videos. Ha ha, look, that guy fell and smacked his head on the concrete. Ha. I don't like those videos. I don't want to watch those videos. That shit's not funny to me. And I really wonder who that's for. I mean, if you like watching people get hurt, if you like watching people be abused, then there's something really wrong with you. Oh, here we go. Fucks up again. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. I got to go back through and then... It's so weird. This is the most inefficient website ever. This is just a terrible fucking website. Oh, God damn it. Did it again. In conversation with Israel Hoyam, Dr. Silberg emphasizes the extreme difficulty in tracking members of such organizations, as most activity occurs on the dark web. I had hoped that in Israel there would be an understanding that this is an international phenomenon and that there would be cooperation between Israeli authorities and other... Did you guys leave? Hang on one sec. Oh, Jesus Christ. Let's restart. I mean, I guess I don't know what to do here. 5 viewers, 6 likes, huh? How is this possible? Fuck, man. God damn. When a complaint arrives and the case is opened in Israel, the police did not conduct an investigation properly. The investigators treated each case as if it were isolated. If you separate each case, you don't look at the overall picture. You don't ask where all the dots lead. And perhaps they did their best and the attackers were simply more sophisticated. No. No. Disassociation. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to. Aliyah, or Aliyah, pseudonym, says, crying, I never want to again, ever. I don't want to. No. At school, the teachers are scary. I don't want them to take me from school. I don't want to go to that class anymore. Aliyah's words blend with tears. In these very moments, she is pulled backward with the memory attack. Although chronologically she is 25 years old, right now she is 9, and nothing can convince her that the danger has passed. Even when her partner reminds her, you know you're grown up now, trying to bring her back to the present, she remains terrified, trembling deep in the past. Like many victims we met, Aliyah also struggles with disassociation challenges. This is a survival disconnection mechanism that protects the children's psyche during the abuse, which will be explained later. Aliyah grew up in a religious settlement in a family with many children. In many community settlements, children wander around alone, she said. After years of sharp deterioration in her mental state, including severe anxiety attacks, self-harm, suicide thoughts, severe suicide attempts, and ongoing suffering, she developed the clear internal knowledge that she had been raped. The memories began surfacing in severe flashbacks in which, to this day, she re-experiences the abuse incidents she endured. This, too, is a known phenomenon that repeats itself in some cases we encountered. Professional Daniel Brahm, a clinical psychologist and the manager and founder of Mitiv, the Israel Center for Psychotrauma in Jerusalem, listened to a recording in which Aliyah is heard during a memory attack, describing how they take her from school to a frightening place where they beat her, tie her up, and lead her to a place where things happen that cause her pain. She talks about rabbis who abuse her and control her with statements about having a direct connection with God. The form of conversation is familiar to me as a conversation with a woman with dissociative identity disorder. I have seen such phenomenon in the clinic quite frequently. Since 1990, I have repeatedly met children and adults who tell of organized abuse by men who not only sexually abuse but film their acts. Silence, conceal, erase, move. Some abuse occurred in a building, and some in the forest, Aliyah continues. Some in a cemetery and some in a synagogue, in all kinds of unusual places. In the building, you go downstairs and reach a very messy room with many tools, paint cans, and many boards. In the middle of the room is a bed, more like a wooden table. It seems there are more rooms there because there are incidents where I clearly remember being in a room and hearing a child being abused in another room, and then I know what they're doing to me, and then I know what they'll do to me. I hear children screaming, crying. It's always a dark place. There are between 6 and 9 men there. They tie me to a bed by my hands and feet, stand in a circle, mutter prayers or blessings, and there's the rabbi who always leads the situation and tells everyone what to do, and everyone listens to him. There's a ceremony, and each one of them rapes me. Sometimes the great rabbi arrives, and then he leads the ceremony. He speaks with God, and God tells him what to do. He puts one hand on my heart and one on my genitals, and it hurts when he talks to God. There are times when I scream, and there are situations where I stop because I know they'll hit me in the head. There were cases where I didn't cooperate or cried and knew I deserved punishment. Didn't cooperate or cried and knew I deserved punishment. There were various punishments, bizarre things. They put my head in a bucket of water for a long time, beat me with a cable, and there's also a ritual bath and purification where they clean me thoroughly and then immerse in a water source and explain to me that I need to be pure. There was one time they took out a Torah scroll and opened it to the binding of Isaac. One of them read, and they simply did what they were reading to me. They tied me up, put a knife to my neck, and God said to lower the knife. Then there was rape. Hang on a sec.
Bye, Dad. Love you.
Well, if you came back just for this, thank you. I love you guys. Jesus Christ, I can't believe this is what I'm reading. Can I up? 7 likes and 5 viewers. Makes total sense, doesn't it? There was an event in a cemetery where I saw a place with stones that had many words written on them, and they told me to enter a hole, and they covered me with sand. It is not clear how I remained alive. I mean, isn't this like the 5th or 6th story she's told? That's and at the same time, isn't this the same story we keep hearing over and over again? God damn it. It keeps trying to pull up this article about how Israel destroyed Assad's blah, blah, blah. Like, isn't that weird? Noya was sexually abused by educational figures who cared for her in early childhood. These people, she says, invited additional men to the setting who participated in ritual abuse. The abusers acted with severe violence and used extreme and strong sensory stimuli, which helped her consciousness to split. I always had symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. I was hospitalized, had nightmares and eating disorders. I also had flashbacks of small fragments of moments from the abuse, but I didn't understand their meaning. In adolescence, dissociative attacks began that looked like epileptic seizures. When I would return home beaten and bruised from abuse, for example, with a head injury or blood from my lips, I said I had a seizure on the stairs. Oh, look, some dumbass is trying to get me to talk about something else. Why would you try to get me to talk about something else? What kind of sick fuck are you that you want me to talk about some character that they've given us instead of the real shit that's happening? Hey, talk about this guy that none of us know actually existed and is all just one of their pseudonym bullshits. Right, yeah, you're a good person. This is the same person that thinks he'll go to the same heaven that pedophiles go to as long as they say they're sorry. No one asked too many questions because they actually knew what it was. And at an older age, when the abuse ended, Noya consciously decided to forget. I told myself nothing happened to me. I had a mantra that I repeated continuously. Silence, conceal, erase, move, disguise, turn off, conceal, throw away, disconnect, forget. And I really did forget for several years. During those years, Noya fulfilled dreams and established her life until the difficult memories began to bombard her consciousness. Over the years, and later also in therapy, figures that were created during the abuse began to surface. Figures that had the difficult memories in her place, that held the difficult memories in her place. When there is such massive and extreme abuse, the symptoms are most severe, especially disassociation, says Sylvia, a therapist from Central Israel. A therapist from Central Israel who treats victims of complex post-traumatic stress disorder due to prolonged child sexual abuse, or due to prolonged childhood abuse. This is a definite defense mechanism of the psyche that is expressed in disconnection at different levels. It can be disconnection from body sensations, from emotion, from thoughts, from memories. Disassociation allows the victim to get up the next morning and conduct life as usual, go to school, play with friends, learn, and build her personality despite the massive threat she is under. The mechanism is activated during the abuse as a response to an existential threat or unbearable pain, or as a result of the use of consciousness-altering substances by the abusers. Fucking insane. Dr. Sajit Bloomrosen Saleh, a clinical psychologist specializing in trauma therapy for sexual abuse, dissociative identity disorder, and autism, recognizes in her clinical cases dissociative disconnections and patients coping with dissociative identity disorder, DID. Today we are discovering that dissociative identity disorder is more common than previously thought. Many of those affected are not diagnosed. Either they hide it or they don't acknowledge it to themselves. Many of them are hospitalized and receive incorrect diagnoses. Many psychiatrists are not familiar enough with the phenomenon, and it's important they understand that these can be patients who lead normal lives, work, study, raise children. There are real gaps between normal functioning and the abyss that aren't expressed in the outside world. An illustration of the attempted sacrifice of Isaac from the 19th century. According to her, this is a mechanism created as a defensive response to intense physical or emotional pain when there is no possibility or it's dangerous to fight or flee, and parts of the experience are extracted from the accessible stream of consciousness. When the abuse is repetitive, a system of identities may form that carries the trauma while disconnecting the memories and feelings associated with the disconnecting the memories and feelings associated with them from normal consciousness. Based on testimonies from around the world over the years, there are situations where abusers are aware of the possibility of producing such a disorder in young children. One patient underwent repeated sadistic attacks with the abusers intending to cause a split in consciousness so she wouldn't remember and wouldn't tell. When she was an adult, she even met one of the attackers in a mall and didn't recognize him. Then how does she know she did? 8 likes, 6 viewers. Guys, if you're watching this and you oppose if you oppose any sort of abuse, but you especially hate this J abuse, this J slavery, this genocide, all that shit, like, share, and sub. Share this video. Take 2 seconds and click share and share it on your Facebook page. Bring as many people as you can into this shit. Yep. I don't have to try real hard to make you look like a weird pedo. Trust me. As if evil itself has intuition. There is an atmosphere of excitement, as if we're performing the most sacred and elevated act in the world, Nurit says. I was very young. In the images, people and verses appeared. I have scars on my genitals. Jesus fucking Christ. They injured and damaged them. It involved tremendous cruelty, abuse, humiliation, control, and ownership, all disguised as religion and elevated spiritual work. It's appropriating God to serve urges. This remains central to my traumas. While such specific events may have happened once, the abuse itself becomes a way of life, creating enormous internal destruction. So yes, the damage and implications are terrible. Through his experience, Boaz has encountered dozens of cult survivors harmed in ceremonies, but also many patients harmed through home-based ceremonies, typically by the father or uncles who chronically over the years employed ceremonies they invented, incorporating religious texts and context and content. It was done to them. Oh, I guess somebody that liked the video suddenly disliked the video for some reason. Come on. According to him, this represents consciousness control. Consciousness control. The child is forced into a tailored role. If told, for example, they came to repair the world and therefore must suffer, or that suffering must intensify beyond what they've already learned to survive, because they are the chosen victim, the child is told that if not they, another family child would be chosen for the sacrifice. If you don't do this, if you don't just take it, we're going to go get your little sister, your little brother. Because that's what they do. Just think about that. Think about how fucked up that is. How many of you would do anything to protect your sibling, your little brother, your little sister? So if told you have to take the abuse so they don't have to, how many of you would do that to protect your brother or sister? I think most of you that have siblings would. Consider how... Oh, wait, no. Ceremonies include invented prayers, mutterings, and songs with religious text. I believe that through these mantras and mutterings, not only does the victim disassociate, but the abuser creates disassociation for himself. Immediately afterward, he can attend synagogue and blow the shofar. There are cases of institutionalized organizations worldwide where techniques for creating disassociation in children follow consistent patterns. I think the abusers I encountered through my patients were diabolically sophisticated. But in my opinion, they didn't learn these methods from some manual. They developed them through intuition. Oh, look, the pedo got exposed, and he's leaving. Yes, I'm a Nazi. What kind of stupid shit is this? This is what desperation does, and I appreciate it so much. I appreciate when stupid people come and be that stupid person. So when I say that that's what I receive and that's the only thing they can do, they prove it. I appreciate it. Thank you. It's as if evil itself has intuition. In one case, a patient underwent massive abuse that caused physical injury, extreme humiliation, and contempt. Even today, decades later, she believes she is a creature from another world. Though intellectually she understands this isn't true, emotionally she feels destined for this role. Consider how easy it is to tell a child they were born from the power of impurity and therefore must suffer. These mantras penetrate deeply, especially when a child is abused and brought to the brink of death. Certainly psychological death, but in several cases I encountered, part of the abuse involved nearly killing the victim before allowing them to survive. In such states, consciousness transforms and implanted beliefs become part of one's very essence. Because what creates a stronger bond than nearly dying and then surviving? Look who actually got the "you're right" this time. So, we have somebody here that's going to proudly identify as one of the people who thinks I should stop doing what I'm doing and has an issue and basically isn't like, hey, yeah, fuck this crazy cult and their crazy cult practices and all this abuse. This is horrible, blah, blah. They don't say anything like that. Why do you think that is? Who's going to hear what's being read and not be angered by it? Angered. Want to hurt the people that are doing this stuff. Only the people guilty are the ones that don't care. The same people that hide behind fake profiles and, proudly identify themselves as my opposition. They're proud to oppose the guy that thinks we should end this fucking pedophilic, psychopathic cult. Let's know. See, look how stupid they are. These Jays are stupid. These Jays are, if you open up the books on Israel, you demonize Israel, stupid. Right? That's not what I said. You think people, that would be me. Yes, I thank the stupid people who provide the example of who I'm talking about, and you just identified as one of those people. You fucking piece of shit. God, I wish they were in front of me so I could spit in their fucking faces, because I know they wouldn't do shit. These are cowardly little J pieces of shit. We couldn't even look face to face. I'd have to spit down at them. They'd probably open their mouths, though, because they're fucking disgusting. Oh, yeah, spit in my face, spit in my mouth. Oh, yeah. These are the worst people in the world. Anybody who doesn't support me is against me, right? And if you're against me, you're against the ending of the killing of pedophiles and the ending of this fucking cult. And who in their right mind would oppose me? You want to play make-believe and your Jesus gives you food and all that other shit. Well, what about all the people being bombed right now? What about all the people being raped right now? If your God wasn't so busy giving you food, maybe it would do something about these horrendous conditions, these horrendous situations. But again, they're so stupid they don't realize what they're saying, or maybe I don't think they do. I don't think it's as bragging as you think. I think they're just really stupid. Again, if you open up the books on Israel, you demonize Israel. That says it all. As we prepare to part, Eden's mother Shows me a photograph of her daughter with a broad smile and laughing eyes. Look at what a look what a child I lost, she says painfully. Right for her sake. When Eden was 25, she began remembering childhood rape, Corrine, her mother, said. It was highly unusual. She described it as a group rape conducted like a theoretical performance where everyone played an assigned role. When flashbacks occurred, memories surfaced, and she revealed shocking details. Men from the settlement acting together, conducting group rape with extreme violence, drugs, and nudity. Somehow afterwards, she returned home clean and intact. It's unclear how. She filed a police report that was subsequently closed. She completely broke down from the experience. According to her mother, Eden began suffering severe anxiety attacks and reached states classified as psychotic, though she was primarily expressing extreme terror while convinced the main perpetrator would murder her. She genuinely felt she was being stalked. There's an entire community here concealing things, and apparently many people have something to hide. While others either close their eyes or are too weak to act. This just keeps going and going and going. Jesus Christ. Look, I'm just done reading this. Responses. Israeli police stated every complaint received undergoes thorough and professional examination. The investigators working as necessary to identify possible connections between similar cases. They just can't. According to findings arising during investigation. The subject mentioned in your inquiry is familiar to the police and under examination. Naturally, at this stage, we cannot elaborate further. Dr. Nama Goldberg, CEO of Not Standing By, assisting women in the prostitution circle, stated, unfortunately, I have been hearing similar testimonies for many years describing identical patterns of abuse. Sometimes they are so shocking that doubts arise regarding credibility. However, since these reports consistently repeat across victims who don't necessarily know each other and come from different regions of the country, they appear well-founded. Moreover, from my professional experience working with crime victims, those who approach me over the years display behavioral patterns consistent with profiles of people sadistically abused in childhood. The dissociative elements, time gaps before disclosure became possible, and other factors confirmed complainants' exposure to such harm at early ages. This represents a terrible story that must be heard loudly and clearly and thoroughly examined by authorities. Here we go. Fuck. Orit Salutsu, CEO of Association of Rape Crisis. God damn it. Now I gotta pull it all the way back up. Never seen something so hard to read before. So difficult, to actually do it. Oh, look. Now I have 0 viewers. 7 likes and 0 viewers. Makes so much sense. It's not that I'm being censored to bejesus. It's that people just don't like me. Orit CEO of Association Rape Crisis Center in Israel, stated, "In recent years, our association has received inquiries regarding ritual sexual abuse. These violations typically occur in closed communities under the pretext of religious ceremony. Undoubtedly, the conspiracy of silence within religious societies often prevents exposure of severe exploitation and abuse cases, making it tremendously important to bring these violations to light, giving words to what happens and allowing victims to release their secrets." So the police just look the other way and allow this to continue. The police are contributing. The police are just as guilty. They don't get to be police. They don't get to be Mossad. They don't get to be Israeli, top representatives if they're not complacent. They know what's happening. They were probably at that ritual that the person is complaining about. They were one of the men at the ritual. This is insanity. This is insanity, and it just, it's so far beyond what we as a fucking civilized society should be willing to overlook. So, I'm morning. YouTube isn't notifying me of anything today. World's glitchiest streaming platform. Is it? Is it really the platform? And it's just glitches? Or do you think it's because of what's being talked about and who's talking about it? Likes and 6 viewers. Yeah, I understand, but it didn't show me my friends live either. Earlier. Well, when did that start? Has it always been that way, or has it been since you started watching my feed? Because, again, if you're trying to do the cover-up, then you do that. You don't want to specifically show that it's just Guy Williams that's getting it. They need to let everybody know. It must be a glitch. This isn't their first rodeo, people. These are the worst people in the world. Well, now that you mention it, I guess you could say it started after I started watching you. Of course it did. It wouldn't be so foreign to you if it hadn't been. You've been on YouTube for years. No, it's all just cover up, man. If you don't see any of the notifications, you assume it's a glitch and you don't put any more thought into it. If you got every other notification but mine, you'd be like, hey, why is, there's something there. You'd see it. You'd be more likely to see it. They don't let us have YouTube for free. Let us go live. Let us communicate with each other without interfering. Somebody with 7 viewers and 8 likes it just shouldn't be a thing. Knowing I've had, 80 to 90% of the people supposedly watching me that like my video means my video should be boosted. Boosted to the moon. You're one of the few channels I have notifications on for, and I rarely get stuff for you, and if I do, it's always after you've gone off air. And of course, they have to let some, so that when you come in and say that, it discredits me. Oh, well, I got the notification today. Well, guy's just crazy then, right? Clinical therapist, conspiracy theory at its best. Nobody likes it. Well, except for the 8 people that have liked it. Except for all the people that come back day after day like you, or make fake profiles so they can continue to watch it, or whatever it is. And again, you don't like me. Why? Because I'm supposed, because I'm exposing the Israeli ritual sexual abuse? Because you're a big fan of genocide? Pedophilia? Slavery? I didn't get today. I've been having to search you up manually. Yeah. Once you start coming here frequently and siding with me and commenting, you become a target. You start doing too much, your family, they're going to figure out who your family is and start harassing your family. You'll get a phone call from your mom like, hey, what is this thing you're watching? Like, why are these people calling me? Now, we have somebody else that wants to come on and talk about something else. Talk about submarines. I don't have an opinion on children being abused to genocide. I want you to talk about something else. It's like they're playing the hits. And they're too stupid to realize what they're doing. Or they just don't care. Because they know they have us hating each other over stupid things. My Sky Daddy says it's this. Well, my Sky Daddy says the same thing. It's just different characters. I hate you. You have different skin color than me. You have a different sexual preference than I do. You're a man. I'm a woman. Whatever it may be, they have us hating each other. Instead of hating the fucking pedophiles. Instead of hating the worst of the worst, we hate each other for stupid, trivial things. Most of the time, it's for shit we can't even help. It's not as big a thing anymore, but when I was a kid, you made fun of somebody, 4 eyes with glasses. They're 4 eyes. Like, do anything about that. Their eyes don't function properly, so you're going to make fun of them for it? That's what they taught us to do. This is how they operate, man. And the best part is it's falling apart. It's falling apart. They're losing their ability to control us as they do. If you belong to Instagram and you're friends with me, you will see tons of videos proving what I'm saying. It's disgusting, man. It's disgusting, and it's time Team Goyim rises up and destroys our enemy. It's our enemy. They look at themselves as an our, and everything else is Goyim. Whether it's, the couch, the chairs, the cats, the dogs, the people, we're all Goyim. Why don't we see ourselves that way? They do. It doesn't matter what fucking skin color you have, where you belong, how much money you have. None of that shit matters. So many people distracted by fucking religious bullshit. It's just insane. It's just insane, especially if you're a Tartaria person. If you believe in Tartaria even a little bit, then you understand that your Christianity is bullshit. 100% bullshit. Under marine waters, somewhere fish and sea moving an automobile is a machine that moves technology. No. Submarines, nuclear-powered submarines, big giant, as big as 80 school bus submarines that can go underwater for as long as 6 months and blah, those don't exist. It's not real. It's all about control. Submarine is referring to a machine. It's stupid. It's all stupid. It's all about keeping us distracted with bullshit. If you think submarines are real, go watch the first 9 parts of this series. The submarines aren't real series. And just debunk what I'm saying. That's all I ask you to do. Let me go back to believing in submarines, because that shit's cool. It's dumb. The word means underwater, not underwater machine, but that's what I'm saying. The word is see-through. They are fake as fuck. Yeah. It's a dumb idea. And when you just think about the physics involved, the idea of the pressure involved and all that shit, and the making of air, just all I ever tell people is, next time you go to the beach, summer's coming up here, take a 2-liter with you. I'll have to do it this year. I'll go to the beach with a 2-liter and I'll show you. And just try to sink the 2-liter down to the bottom of the fucking water, the beach floor, the 5-6 feet down that you have to swim. Not possible for a small machine to hold the entire ocean's weight. Exactly. But then also, the way they say they create air, they desalinate the water so it can go through their nuclear power plant that they've put inside a small little submarine. They can't use desalinated water apparently. So they desalinate the water, then that water they run an electrical current through it which separates the the oxygen molecules from the hydrogen, and then they collect the oxygen molecules somehow. And then they're left with all this hydrogen, but don't worry about it. It's fucking stupid. It's fucking stupid, and it's a huge distraction. But as the just like how nowadays people don't believe in space travel, but 20 years ago it was unheard of for people to say that shit. Just wait. In a few years, submarines will start to get exposed, and you guys will know where you saw it first. I'm the only person I've ever heard question the existence of submarines. I find that fascinating. It really is just atrocious. It's horrendous. There's genocide happening. There's pedophilia happening. There's rape. The Israeli soldiers are just consistently being accused of raping the prisoners, hostages. Because they're hostages. They didn't do anything wrong. They were just kidnapped. It's fucking crazy, man. That's just crazy. And the amount of videos showing children fucked up, whether they're hurt physically or they're shaking and their parents are all dead, everybody's dead, and they're the lone survivor, or just, I just tell myself that you don't know, right? Because you couldn't possibly know that so many of these videos exist. Look, there's somebody smiling and laughing. Leaves me are on the same track this morning. I assume you just don't know, because if you knew, you would fight. Who sees a child, you're driving down the street and you see some 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old just running by themselves. You're not going to stop and try to help that child? One of your neighbor kids escapes and comes to your house and says, I've been being abused. I've been this, that, and the other. What are you going to slam the door in their face? I don't see it. If I don't see it, it's not happening. I just refuse to believe. I can't even say it. Because if there weren't people like that all over the fucking place, then it wouldn't be fucking happening. And of course, those same people are going to seek out someone like me and try to disrupt and distract and fuck with my feed. They don't want someone like me. Can you imagine if they just fucked up and gave me the microphone one time? Can you imagine? If I was allowed to speak to a large group of people one time. They saw what happened when they didn't fucking censor my YouTube feed, and I start getting numbers that famous people don't get. At least as it's happening. Of course, after the fact, they shut the video down and it doesn't go anywhere. But when I'm getting 20,000 views by the time I'm done with my 2-3 hour video, that's not normal. Just like it's not normal that somebody would have 4 viewers and 8 likes. I'd love to see another video like that. Show me another feed that looks like mine. Double the likes than viewers. It's not what happens. I was watching a Bugs Bunny cartoon yesterday. And it's the one where she's the daughter of Rosie O'Grady. You know that one? Where at the end, it's the dogs that are trying to get Bugs Bunny. Dogpile on the rabbit. At one point, Bugs goes into a skyscraper and goes up to like the cafeteria area. And it's just all of these like machines where, I guess you put a nickel in it and you get a piece of pie or a sandwich or whatever. And it's just, tons of machines, row after row with window after window. You open up a small window, you pull out whatever food is in there. That's from the 40s? How did they do that? I mean, the Tartaria stuff is such an interesting aspect, and the old world and the architecture and the construction, and that's such a fascinating thing, but I just can't talk about it. There's a genocide happening. And if we want the answers to our historical past, the real past, the only way we do that is by stopping the genocide. By overthrowing those committing genocide so we gain access to the truth. You might not realize it, but we're on the same page. I'm just trying to actually get the answers. You're talking about the thing. I'm trying to figure it out. Anyway, I'm gonna bounce. Go get your free download. www.the-bilderberg, BILDERBERG-group.com. please, 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 if you're not going to go get your free download, if you're not going to go watch our song, check out our videos and for our songs, at the very least, go watch Hollywoodism. I'm going to leave you the link to Hollywoodism. Go watch it. It tells you everything. From Hollywood to the pedos to the government to the genocide that's happening, all of it. It tells you everything. Look at 0 viewers and 8 likes. Again, for the second time. Makes sense, doesn't it? Guys, go watch Hollywoodism. Go check out the 2 songs that we're putting up there, COVID Sauce and Donald Trump Hates America. Oh, I guess you don't count, Matt. Nope. There's probably a lot more viewers than I think. They're showing me 1, so I quit. They're showing me that nobody's watching me, so I quit. It's how they work. It's all about deception. Understand that we are their biggest fear. We. That's why they distract us with so much and they have us fighting each other so much. Because unified Goyim is their biggest fear. Free download, Hollywoodism, Facebook videos, the songs on the Facebook page. Go check them out, man. Maybe if you watch Hollywoodism, you'll actually have more information. You can come tell me what I'm wrong about. I doubt it, but go check that shit out. And maybe I'll be back later. Maybe it'll be tomorrow. We'll see. Have yourself a great day. And you pedophiles, you fucking kill your... What the fuck? I watched Hollywoodism and I can't disprove a thing. It answered everything for you. It showed you the truth. You might have thought I was kind of extreme or I might have been exaggerating or whatever. They fucking say it. They made the video. If I made the video with a bunch of people of color and we all, said the same exact thing except for instead of we and us, I said they and them, it would be panned. It would be called this anti-Semitic trope and all this other bullshit. Remember, Semitism is policy or predisposition favorable to Jays. Therefore, it's supremacy. So, 2 + 2 is 4. If you're anti-Semitism, you are anti-supremacy. Just that simple. I'm glad I was open and minded enough to give it a chance. Me too. I put it, challenge you, like find it wrong. Find what's wrong. It's so simple. Just like all you have to do is make a 30-second video, minute-long video talking shit about me. Show me you're a real person. Easy proof. Anybody could do it. Nobody seems to want to. It's all Team Jorge. Go look up Team Jorge. Team Jorge Israel. Jorge. Go look up Operation Cast Thy Bread. Go look up Cast Thy Bread. Go look up the Samson option. Go look up well poisoning. Go look up blood libel. It's all right there for you to see it. I need to get a hold of Jake Shields, man. Jake Shields is the guy who's probably going to end up in some weird car accident or some shit here in the future. Jake Shields, former fighter, offed himself in his apartment. Found unalive, found dead in his apartment with 2 gunshots to the head, some kind of shit like that. He did it himself, shot himself twice in the head. Go watch Hollywoodism. You inspire me so much. If we ever cross paths in the future for some reason, you'll be my greatest ally. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. We are all our greatest allies. We are Team Goyim. We are what they're scared of because we can fix the situation. We can cure the cancer. We outnumber them, 1,000,000 to 1. They make up 0.183% of the world's population. They shouldn't do anything. They shouldn't have any sort of power, any sort of supremacy in any sort of way with those kind of numbers. I just read you an entire article that they put out there about their own shit. Ritualistic child sexual abuse. Go check out shit, man. Go watch Hollywoodism. Go get your free download. Share it with your friends. You click download, it'll ask you how much you want to pay. Fucking A, put 0. I know I'm really a J, so I should be charging, but I don't. If you want to donate, feel free to donate. All we ask is that you share it with someone. And it's going to tell you this is an unsecured website and all this other bullshit. People need to research more. That's an understatement. Not everyone's capable of it, so share the video. Let me do it for them. Maybe I can inspire them to try to prove me wrong, which they won't, which will change their mind. Go get your free download. Go to the Facebook page, like the page, share the page. Do something. Doing nothing is complacency. Doing nothing is support. If you don't speak out against this, you are speaking for it. You say a lot by not speaking out. Speak out. Help. Do something. Have a great day. And again, pedophiles, kill yourself.